All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Sex, Drugs, and Soul, my messy, beautiful humans. Today, I'm so excited that I have founder and CEO of Afterglow, Lily Sparks, on. I first discovered her at a conscious porn and wine pairing event, and which was like so unique. I was like, okay, this is so cool. Loved the screening, by the way. So I'm so curious about like how the idea came to you, how like the creative process. Like I remember like me being a little kid, watching some scrambled images as like trying to listen also for footsteps coming down the hallway, being like, is that a boob? Or,
Yeah.
so I just love this site. I did a little research and self pleasure and joined. And so it's beautiful. I love what you've done. I love also that to offer an alternative perspective because I've had a couple of people on and they've like really cast out or made porn like a bad guy. And maybe it can be in certain scenarios, but I love to offer your perspective and get some insight and dispel some myths and that sort of thing too.
I am excited. I love talking about porn and I'm very pro porn. I think porn is an amazing tool for helping you have better sex.
Mm-hmm.
So I am Lily Sparks. I'm the founder and CEO of Afterglow. Afterglow is porn that is designed to help you have a better sex life.
Mm.
So same as you, like my first experiences of porn were actually like after prom night, kind of like
Oh.
gathering
Yeah.
around like in a group setting,
Yeah.
maybe a little different than most people, and like watching that was back in the DVD era. So watching a DVD called like Young Girls in Prison.
Oh, wow.
And, it really turned me on. And that's porn is really effective at turning you on, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
We're humans. We love watching other people have sex. It's
Mm-hmm.
hot to watch hot people have sex, and I'm not going to apologize for liking that.
Yeah.
And, I think that experience with porn, it's always been, I've enjoyed watching porn, but I also felt really left out of the stories
Mm.
as a woman. And, it didn't help me actually have better sex in my real sex life with my partner.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in a relationship with my high school sweetheart from age 15 to 30,
Whoa.
and I didn't orgasm until I was 24 because the stories that we typically see in porn, especially at that time, were really around male pleasure, really around performative sex. And porn is the only place that we can go to see what it looks like to have sex. So, of course, we're going to pick up on those narratives. And of course, we're going to pick up on those scripts.
Mm-hmm.
So, the goal of Afterglow is to, it's like if every movie was an action movie, basically. So, the goal of Afterglow is to tell different stories in porn to show a different type of sex that has communication, that
Mm-hmm.
is ethical, that's pleasurable for everybody, that's less performative, that shows people doing acts that they want to do. And then we pair those films with pleasure recaps that are written by certified sex educators.
Oh, cool.
So, kind of like a Cliff Notes or reflection, because a lot of times the stereotypical experience of porn is, you open an incognito window, you're by yourself, you're like typing in your search terms that you don't want to admit to everybody else. And Afterglow is really trying to create a different experience
Mm-hmm.
without the ick factor,
Yeah.
that you can be really excited about your favorite porn star and about your favorite film, and you can talk about it with your partner and you can share why you like it and why it excites you.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually research that Amber Mallory has done that shows that people who watch ethical porn have better sexual health and better sexual satisfaction than people who watch
Mm.
mainstream porn.
Yeah, I get that because I guess you can reference it. And one, if you're also watching it with a partner, I guess it means you're communicating
Exactly.
about sex instead
Exactly.
of just like keeping in this thing like, okay, we're actually going to talk about these things. I loved like some of the pleasure meditations that I saw on there. I think I saw a video for sensual like
Sexual
dance.
movement.
Yes, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I love all this. I want to go back and play some more. So I'm curious how long it took you from like that night, prom night,
Yeah.
for the idea to develop like, okay, I'm gonna create this platform and help like release some of the shame and stigma around sex and porn and search terms and all those things. Like,
It's always been in the back of my mind is this idea where I'm just like, okay, I really want to love porn. Why do I feel so
mm,
left out of
mm-hmm,
what I see on Pornhub? Why does it just not, I love romance novels. And so I would be reading romance novels and like I'm like, "Oh, this is awesome." But I also love TV and movies. So I'm like, "Why can't I get something that makes me feel like romance novels
Mhm.
feel and feels kind of like, just good and happy in my body?" And, I kind of I actually started my career as an accountant. So I was an
Oh, wow.
accountant for a
Okay,
long
yeah.
time. So I'm like, okay, you can't really make a bigger jump than like accountant to making porn.
Yeah.
But it's funny, you're all about like sex, drugs, and spirituality. And
Mhm.
actually, I was on a 7-day meditation retreat, Vipassana style
Ooh.
meditation retreat on Maui. And it was like just life changing and transformative. And I was sitting there, like trying to clear my head. And you know, at one point there was the waves and the
Mm.
birds. And I just got this message like, now is the time for you to start this. Like, now is the time to go for it.
Wow.
Yeah. And I knew absolutely nobody in the porn industry. I had zero experience with porn, which I don't 100% recommend. Like, I think maybe I should have worked in the industry a little bit before starting my own company, but that's not the path I had.
Mhm.
I just started talking to everybody I know, researching people, reaching out to them and saying like, "Hey, I want to start an ethical porn company. Will you talk to me?
Oh,
Will
cool.
you talk to me? Will you talk to me?" And ended up finding our first producer who made our first films and did a Kickstarter campaign Indiegogo campaign to get started and launched about 6 months after that. And we've been around since we've been launched Valentine's Day 2021.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool little journey. It kind of, to me, also sounds like that feeling of resonance or being seen. Like, because I've had that in different books. It's like, okay, I can find like a similarity or commonality. Because I know for myself, when I've watched like Pornhub or something before, then I'm like, okay, or comparison and like body parts, or I'm like, do I have like, am I normal?
Yeah.
That type of feeling down there, or comparisonitis. So I do love that like there's different representation on your site too. And then and is that an element that you brought, I guess, through like the common thread from start to finish? And
Yeah. Like I remember it's watching porn or like talking about porn with friends in college and like it was kind of like a group of guys and they're like, "Oh, her labia looks like a poorly packed suitcase." And I was like,
yeah.
"Oh, like does mine look like that? Am I one of those people?" And I think that a lot of women are turned off by mainstream porn for a number of reasons. And I'm excited to get into like the myth busting
Yes.
that I'm a firm believer that mainstream porn is not bad in any way. It just might not be targeted towards
Mhm.
me or you or what we prefer to watch. That's totally okay. But yeah, I think that as women, seeing other women be confident in their sexuality is really inspiring.
Mhm.
And that's what I look for in the videos I put on Afterglow. Is just like, it doesn't matter what you look like. If you're out there owning your sexuality, owning your power, doing your thing, it does not matter what you weigh or like what color your skin is. And like, we don't reduce people to specific like racial taglines and
Mhm.
all of those kind of things because it doesn't matter. It's about like this beauty of sexuality that we really want to showcase.
Yeah, I remember watching one video that I was like, "Oh, definitely the confident one." Was it your first one, the lip service one?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, I love that one. I think that one was at the screening too. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that confident, like, just directional guidance," and also, like, a story, but also tips in storytelling way, like, in a more non-prescriptive type of storytelling.
Yeah. It's like
Um,
I love
yeah,
kind of like showing, not
yeah,
telling. And I
yeah.
love like Lip Service, which is one of our most popular films. It's probably my favorite film ever. And there's no penetration in it, which when do you ever see a porn that's completely decentered around penetration? And it's a woman who's instructing her partner on how she wants cunnilingus performed on
Mhm.
her. And there's also kind of a fun voyeur element to it.
Yes.
And it's really interesting seeing people's reactions to it because some people are like, she's bossy. And I'm like, yeah, bossy's great. She's saying very
Mhm.
clearly what she wants.
Mhm.
And we never ever see that. And so we don't know how to do it because it's like, how do we, like, when I want to learn how to change a tire or like chop an onion, I go to YouTube, I see somebody doing the
Mm.
thing. But when it comes to like sex and our sexual experiences, there's this weird societal expectation that we're just supposed to know it's supposed to be perfect every time, stars flying, sparks, you always want to do it, you're always ready without any like training or skills. Like you would never expect that in any other area of your life. So like why do
Mm.
you expect that
So
when it comes
true.
with your sex life?
Yeah, because I don't know. I mean, I definitely didn't grow up in that household or environment too, where it was talked about. What you've said also made me think of how a lot of times women are told they're too much or not enough, or
Yeah.
being bossy could be too much. Or, but
Yeah.
I love like watching her just communicate. Because yeah, there's been times in my life before when I didn't have like a toolkit or the verbiage or language to say, okay, no, like little like circle, just like a different language to describe what
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, yes, and looking at it like a kind of a curiosity aspect of self-discovery to bring to pleasure. I love it.
And then we also have a guided cunnilingus exercise
Okay,
on the site.
cool.
So it's an audio exercise that you do with a partner. So like because what circles means to you and to your
Mm,
partner and to your partner's previous partner, like that could
mhm.
be three different
Yes.
things. And so it's like you don't, it's also really nice just to have it be like a third party kind of telling you what to do. So it takes the pressure off it being
Mhm.
like, it's
Mm.
not your partner's fault if you don't like it. It's not your fault if you don't like it. It's just a thing that you're trying. And I think, we bring so much internal pressure and judgment on ourselves when it comes to sex.
Mm.
And that's true for men and women that it makes the stakes ridiculously high when things go
Mhm.
wrong. Like if you were, changing a tire and you didn't get the wrench on just right, you wouldn't judge yourself and be like,
True.
I'm a horrible mechanic. You'd be like,
Like,
things happen. I
I
know
gotta
how to
call in
do
some
this.
assistance
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
If it's not YouTube, I'm gonna call in some support in some way. I'm not gonna just
Exactly.
stay on the side of the road.
Exactly. Exactly. Like sometimes we all need support.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's definitely been a learning journey of mine. It's like the asking for support when I need it and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'd love to jump into some of the myths too. Like I love you also came on to Leola's Pleasure Priestess group, and I was just like, I want you on my podcast.
Yeah.
Because one of the big ones, and you can totally expand on this too, that I've heard people come to me is around shame or the language we're talking about porn addiction.
Yeah.
And then I'll let maybe even you just take it from there about your thought.
Yeah, yeah. So porn addiction is not a recognized diagnosis in the DSM-5 manual. And also, like certified sex therapists do not recognize porn addiction. That's not to say that people don't have, they recognize it as like a compulsive use disorder
Hmm.
when it's negatively affecting your life. It's not, I'm not saying everybody has a healthy relationship with porn. I think you can definitely have a healthy relationship or an unhealthy
Hmm.
relationship with it. Same thing as exercise, same thing as social media. I think social media is probably like the best analogy for porn use because
Hmm.
it's meant to feed your engagement. It's meant to really, um, it's meant to excite you. It's meant to excite parts of your brain. It doesn't get to the point of like rewiring your brain in the same way that like hard drugs and
Hmm.
addictions that are recognized as addictions do. It's just not at that same level.
Hmm.
And addiction treatment also, like the kind of treatment that we do for addiction, doesn't work
Hmm.
for porn use disorder. A lot of times it's much better to kind of do more traditional therapy and kind of look at some of the underlying causes of like what's going on
Hmm.
in your life that you're using porn as a coping
Hmm.
mechanism. Um, so yeah, that's porn addiction. I think, and it's similar with social media. Like 80% of the people out there, like use it and it's generally a positive thing in their
Hmm.
life. And there's a specific organization called Nicosi that's really pushing this like porn addiction agenda.
Hmm.
And because of that, I think a lot of people who have very normal porn use but have shame around watching
Hmm.
porn think that they have porn addiction, and it's like this kind of shame spiral where really they just like to, watch porn and masturbate.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, okay, is your porn use really impacting your life, your
Mhm.
relationship? I think another way that porn impacts people's lives that's not porn addiction is just that they have different beliefs around porn than their partner. So, and they're not, and sometimes that shame and those different beliefs leads them to be dishonest about it.
Mm.
And so then that's an issue with your relationship is like,
Mhm.
you're not, your partner says they don't want you watching porn or create some kind of rule around it and you agree, but then you don't do it. And it's like, okay,
Kinda
that's
like
a different tricky
yeah, or
situation.
like fuel on the fire if you're gonna keep it hidden
Or you just hid it. Yeah, you're
for that
hiding it.
shame or the
Yeah, you're
yeah.
breaking trust.
Mhm. Okay, so, yeah, I had someone mention something about a porn-induced erectile dysfunction, and I was
Mhm.
like, I don't know much about that. I was gonna ask you, if you've heard of that or,
Yeah, I think that it's mostly again, like, mostly not
yeah.
true. I think there's a lot of, like, it there's a lot of, like, okay, if you are masturbating 10 times a day, like, you're not like, what is normal erectile function? And, like, what erectile function are you expecting, and is it reasonable?
Mm,
So I think
mm.
that's, people just whatever see a 5-minute porn video and like I think a lot of times there's a lot of focus on women and how porn impacts us and stuff, but I think and like the shame that we have around
Mhm,
sexuality, but I think men also have a lot of expectations and a lot of
mhm.
shame around their erectile
Yeah.
function and how long it takes them, and it's like sometimes it takes us a long time to warm up, and
Mhm,
guys have this expectation that they're always ready to go, and that's an unreasonable expectation sometimes.
mhm.
So I think that most people are normal and we just have these crazy expectations that we
Yeah.
give ourselves, and having those expectations kind of creates a feedback loop of inhibiting our desire, because when you're expected to perform on a moment's notice, like how that you're excited, you're not kind of in the relaxed, chill, horny state. Like it's really hard to be horny on command.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know there's definitely been times too where I'm like, okay, if I take the goal of orgasm out of the picture
Yep.
and just enjoy and like be where my boots are
Yep.
instead of like up
I love
here,
that. Be
like,
where my boots
yeah,
are.
it's just like being more present and in my body versus like, okay, worried about reaching an orgasm to please me and my partner.
Yeah.
So, and like give the feedback in that aspect versus like, okay, well, how do I feel in in my body? Am I feeling the pleasure? Maybe I need more sensual massage to warm up,
Yeah.
or more maybe breathe or do a little eye gaze. I love eye gazing, so I'm like maybe do that.